Cloud. In terms of the bigger community, there are so many resources in the cities, but not as much that is culturally sensitive in St. Cloud. So here we are, part of the community. We moved here around October. We have been trying to put services together, and so we decided to invite all of you to be to see what we do and help us make this organization work for the people that need these kinds of services, and collaborate with us, and we collaborate with you, serving different kinds of communities, minority communities. We have mainstream clients coming to our San Antonio clinic, as well as here. So we are hoping that we have a long, many years of collaboration together, and you, in any kinds of services you can provide for us, in collaborating for us, we really appreciate that. Because every day we realize there is another type of services that is needed in this community. And so, welcome, thank you so much for being here. President Carter is here from the university, and the rest of you that I don't know, and the mayor is here, and so thank you so much. They have wonderful Somali food. Please eat some, take some, enjoy, and we would like to see you and collaborate with you for many years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great to have this facility here, and there's a, for those of you I've told the story to, because it just amazes to me, because in that, right behind that door there in the corner, 25 years ago last month, I started my business. A small business, a driver's education business. It was, but it was in that little office.
There is hope for the rest of us.
That's how Earl was saying. This is a real old building. It was old when I started it. No, I was it. I was the entire company at that time, and so it's still in existence, and I still am a manager that operates it. But it's great to be here, but it's even more important. It's great that you're here, and you've got a great team here. I am very comfortable with that, and confident in the folks that you have. And I think the need is great, as you know, and especially with our newest residents in the community, and having that ability to have that mental health issues addressed in our community is something that's been missing, in particularly with our newest residents in our community. So I look forward to a prosperous, and as was the case in that little room, you'll all grow this and need a larger facility, which is great. Then you can build something and add to the tax rolls, which is even better. So so congratulations.
I was being interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions was, what's the most important thing that you've done in your career? What makes you the most proud? And I thought over many years, and finally said, it's not an award, it's not a building built, it's not any personal recognition. It's when I am able to encounter a student whose life has been changed by the work we have done in the institutions where I have been a faculty member, a provost, and now president. That's what makes me most proud. And so as I see a number of former St. Cloud students who were responsible for creating this facility and serving our people, it makes me very proud and makes me believe in what we do together. And when I answered that question, I was by myself. But being here in your presence, I'm reminded especially that this is the work we do, and you have the same points of pride that I do, and as you must feel a special warmth as you look at your students doing this work. So I want to thank our faculty for the vision and leadership brought. I love the opportunity to build the relationship between this university and this community. This changing, fascinating place. It sometimes drives me nuts, sometimes makes me angry, but keeps growing and changing. And in this room are a number of the leaders and engines for change. And you're going to support in this building many people who will make a great difference in this community. They need some help. They need some support. They're not broken. They, like all of us, I was at my physical with my doc this morning, and he was telling me what to do and giving me advice. And we all need support and help, and you're going to enable the wonderful people of this community to do great things. So I'm so honored to be here to celebrate with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the leadership and the growth of this community that you see every day and you deal with? And if you know anyone, you can just say who.
There's this guy named Haji. You know, it's interesting. I am on the steering committee for the St. Cloud Pillars project now. It was started as community priorities, and now it's Pillars. And I was, honestly, I'll tell the complete truth, at a table of white leaders of the community a couple weeks ago, and one of my respected colleagues said, you know, we need to do a better job of building leaders in the Somali community and inviting them in. And I said, you know, that's not the right way to say this. You would be surprised at the emerging leaders, at the growing strength, at what's going on in our community. Our problem is we don't know. You don't know. And I'm not going to be party to saying that they have to grow so that they can join us. They are growing. We have to connect. We have to listen. We have to learn. It was a difficult conversation, but it's the conversation that we have to have. And so Iman reminded me that he learned.
I'm here, sir.
Good. That he found it at St. Cloud State and in St. Cloud that we made space for hard conversations.
Yes, we do.
We do. And there's another member of our community, Walid Issa, who with his partner in the enterprise they've created, Lior Frankenstein, who's a Jewish Israeli. And of course, Walid grew up in Bethlehem. He's a Palestinian refugee. The two of them created a conversation on our campus about Palestine and Israel. And I got here when people were screaming at each other. Unproductive, difficult, unpleasant conversations. Those two, one a graduate and the other a friend he had made in his work, created a conversation that finally brought us together in the same room to talk. And last year, the executive director of CARE, Jelani Hussein, who's also alum, spoke to a packed audience in Ritchie Hall. The people in the room the people were in the room who have been some of those who have spoken most hatefully. In that place, they were respectful and quiet. And that opportunity was created by our students, and the leader on the stage was an alum, and I see that happening. We are creating the space to teach and help others grow, even grow out of their fear to understanding. So, did that answer your question?
Yes. and speaking of that, Emmanuel, who is here now, and I are going to Washington, D.C. tomorrow.
Wonderful.
To the Holocaust Memorial.
Oh, good.
So that's another opportunity that came from your leadership at the university, and we want to say thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Wow, awesome.
I'm glad you're both going. That's very important. The Holocaust and Genocide Center is an important element of our commitments at the university, and one of the things that we're doing there is growing our focus. Well, I think the Holocaust Museum in Washington is a very important place to visit, and it's important to know and remember that history. We are also broadening our views. So Dan Wildison and others visited the killing fields in Cambodia, where I had been just a couple months earlier, because we want to make sure that when we speak of genocide and Holocaust, that we bring in the experience of all of our students and the people who live in our community to recognize their lives, their histories in what we teach. We want folks in whose countries they have experienced genocide to see that their lives are represented in the curriculum. And so we're intentionally broadening to include events that have occurred in Asia and Africa and Eastern Europe and beyond. So I'm delighted that you're going there. You can help us advance our conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. And speaking of mental health and violence and genocide, how is that related to here, with this community here in St. Cloud?
It's related directly to what we have been doing in my conversations with people around the Twin Cities about this population and what they have suffered and years of being in refugee camps and our lack of understanding about the challenges they have faced. And they come here and we assume that they are going to be part of our communities. They're going to learn to speak English. They're going to know how to use transportation. They know how to navigate through the school system, communities, and just become part of our mainstream society. And that hasn't happened. It won't happen for people that have suffered years and years and years of living in refugee camps and suffering the consequences of many different things. And they're here because it's part of it is because we are nice people and we invite people over to this country and want to make this their home. But the other part of it is the political system that is much bigger than any of us, and we don't understand any of it. We just see these little people that are dealing with the consequences of what has happened in their own societies, and then they come here, and so they weren't welcome there. They had a lot of trauma and they experienced a lot of atrocities, and then they come here and they face many lack of understandings in many different levels. And so exactly that the reason we are doing this is because of what we have seen and what we know. And one person at a time, one community at a time. And so this is the community right now that is suffering, and we need to be providing any kind of services that is necessary. And St. Cloud is actually one of the areas that people are very misunderstood. They have been welcomed, they have been part of the community, but extremely misunderstood based on what they don't know and they haven't been able to navigate in the system.
Thank you very much for your
You're
time.
welcome.